In this video, we will talk about the type conversions with the data type. In our previous video, we have learned about data types with .NET C#. What are the different data types available? How do we choose a specific data type to use in our program? Now let's discuss a point wherein we require to do a typecasting or type conversion of these data types. So if we look at our console application, here in the application itself, I have defined various type of data type like byte, integer, long, decimal, double, unassigned int, short, and int. I've given the values to these variables so that I can use these variables depending upon my requirement. And then I have one variable which I'm calling it as a target, and target does not have any value. Now let's say in my program there is a requirement. I would like to hold the value of byte variable into a target variable which is an integer type. So from byte type to integer type, how do I assign the value of one variable which is of another type to a variable which is of different type? To do that in C#, what you simply do is you on a left side, whichever is your target variable, you write it like this, and then after that you assign it to equal, and in this case I'm going to create assign the variable name as in code. And that is it. And if you look at here, I am not getting any compiler error or warning by the C# compiler. So if you look at here, I'm not getting any indication of error by the C# compiler. Now if you look at here, after the assignment, I'm not getting any warning or error reported by the C# compiler, which indicates that this assignment possibly will work fine. And if we try and do that, what we can do is we can simply print the output of both code variable which is of byte type and target variable which is of integer type, and print it as an output to see the result. As you can see that the value of the code is 54, the value of target, which is a target variable we are printing here, is 54. Whereas if originally when we declare the target variable, we have not assigned the variable. We have just assigned our target variable from a byte type of variable, which is of integer, from byte to integer. So that is called the implicit type conversion. Now, how it is possible? Because we know that with a byte type, by design, it is there to hold 8-bit of memory. So whenever you declare a byte of variable, your system will require, your program will require 8-bit memory to be allocated in the system. And whereas in 32 is basically, it will require 32-bit memory allocation. Now, as we are trying to assign from lower bit allocation to higher bit allocation, which is from 8-bit to 32-bit, the compiler works perfectly fine because we are going from lower to higher. There is no issues with that, and that is the reason the implicit conversion works fine. So implicit conversion, it works fine when you go from lower bit assignment to the higher bit assignment, right? Now let's take another example wherein we would like to assign this target variable to long type. Now as we know that long type are system.int64, which means that it represents a 64-bit signed integer. Now if I am going to assign this target to B, immediately the C# compiler reports an error. It says that cannot implicitly convert long to integer type, and it is throwing an error. So if I compile that, it will give me error. Now you may be thinking, well, we are having a value which is of 999, or even in fact if I give the value as in 9, forget about the 999, still it will complain about the same issue. A 9 is smaller than the value 54, which is assigned to byte, and now we are assigning value 9 to the value to variable target, which is lesser than the value of the byte type, but still we are getting the error. Why? The reason for that is the definition of this data type requires 8-bit, whereas the definition of data type int requires 32 bits. So from 8-bit to 32 bits we are okay, but the definition of long type requires 64-bit memory allocation, whereas the integer type requires a memory allocation of 32-bit. So when you try and assign from higher memory allocation data type to a lower memory allocation, the compiler will throw an error. It says that you cannot allocate this kind of a assignment, and this type in this case the implicit type conversion will not work. Whereas we know that from the value point of view it should work, because the long has a value which comes under the maximum value of integer, because we know that maximum value of the integer data type is way beyond than the value which is given currently with the long type, right? So to do the assignment for this kind of changes, what you can do is you can use the explicit assignment. To write an explicit assignment, you can do opening bracket, closing bracket, and then you can specify the type which you want to convert this variable into. Now what will happen is, even though this is by memory, it is allocating a 64-bit memory, but this typecasting will reassign the memory to its required memory type, which is of 32-bit, and this will work fine, right? So let me try and do that. We'll just try and print the target value and target value after reassignment, right? Let's print that. As you can see that we have got 54 as an original value of byte type, then we have a value of target variable which is 54 as we have assigned, and then after the reassignment we have got the value of long type of variable which is value 9 here, and that is called the explicit type conversion. Now this explicit type conversion works fine if the value which we are trying to convert is within the limit of the maximum value which a target type can accept, right? Let's say that if I have a value as in long, the variable value of long as in long.max, which is going to the maximum value is this, which is obviously going to be the larger value than the expected value an integer could have. Let's see if that is going to work even with the explicit type conversion. Here we have got a value as in value of type of target type refinement as in -1, because in this case the long type value which we have it here, which is a maximum value, this value cannot be typecast to integer type because the value of the current variable long type is beyond the limitation of the integer type, and that is the reason it's giving this -1 value. So you should be always meaningful of choosing such kind of a explicit type conversion, right? Here is the list provided from Microsoft documentation, which refers to the implicit type conversion from type to type. As byte can be converted into these many types, byte can be converted into this many types, short can be converted into these many types, and so on. So this is by design implicitly the conversion can be possible from left side to the right side of variable data type. Now the explicit type conversions are given here in the other table, in which you can explicitly convert as byte into this type, byte into as byte, short into this type, and so on. So I hope you have got now some idea how this data type works. Let's take an example of the overflow exception, which has been discussed here in this section. So for that, let's say if I have, let me just stop the program. If I have a decimal type of value, and the value of the decimal type is this, and I would like to let's say I'll declare a decimal target decimal like this, and then the double type of value variable which I have it here, what I'll do is I will declare assign the value of the double type it to a maximum value, and then what we will do is we will try and assign the target decimal to this decimal type, as it is going to give the error based on the explicit type conversion table which we have seen earlier. If I try and run, let's see what happens. Does it works? And it will give the error as in -1, or we will get some other output. So you can see that here in this case we are getting overflow exception. It says the value either too large or too small for a decimal. What does it mean? That a decimal type cannot have a value which is being assigned currently to a double type, which is a maximum value. We have it here, right? So it's going beyond the limitation of the decimal type, and that is why it's throwing an overflow exception. So again, you have to precisely think about it when you do the explicit type conversion. You need to know what would be the value a variable can have before you actually take an assignment to these variable. That is about the data type conversion, both implicit and explicit. I hope you have got some idea how to use this in your program, and you will make use of it whenever you write the program. Thanks for watching it. See you in the next video.